Unlock the secrets of franchising success with the Franchise Life podcast. Hosted by Stacie Shannon. Join us for expert insights, success stories, and practical tips every week. Subscribe now and take your franchise journey to the next level.
Hello and welcome to the Franchise Life. Today we're a very different brand than we normally highlight. This one is called Project Lean Nation. And with me today, I have the founder, Tim Doherty. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm intrigued by the brand name, Project Lean Nation, but I always love a good founder story. So let's just take a step back, go years back. Tell me about yourself, Tim, and what led you into founding this company.
How far back are we going here? All the way back?
We're going back as far back. Well, you don't have to go as from birth, but anything notable.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I'll share this. I'm Tim. I live in Rochester, New York. I have a 19-year-old son and a 16-year-old little girl who keeps me on my toes. But growing up, life was tough. You know, I kind of on the wrong side of the tracks. My old man was in prison. My mom was struggling with depression and alcoholism. But I had a couple of great grandmas that looked out for me. And youth was a mess. School was difficult. Didn't really feel like a place of higher learning. I always felt like maybe I didn't belong there. Had the laundry list of alphabet soup of diagnoses. So my youth was a little crazy. When I was about 19 years old, half my friends went one way and half went to the gym. And the guys that didn't go to the gym, they didn't make it. And for me, fortunately, the gym was the first place that first place where I found a little dignity through discipline, and a first place that pain had purpose. And to be fair, I just met some good people, and I found some mentors, and they kind of took me under their wing. And really, it was just good men in my life, which wasn't to that point. I didn't have that available to me. And a couple of these guys, they had money. They had like flashy cars and stuff. So I knew they had something going on. And growing up with very limited means, those kind of things were very attractive to me. But I found out they were raising money for public companies. And right away I was intrigued. And so I jumped in with both feet, had a crazy, wild career. These guys, because I came from limited means, you would think it was the money that motivated me, but they would like hype me up, and they would tell me all the things I needed to hear. Like, you got everything it takes. And I think that's what drove me. So by the time I was in my late 20s, I had a wife, a big, beautiful home, a pool, a Porsche in the driveway, and a boat at the dock. And I believed that I was crushing it, but there was still something inside of me that just wasn't sitting right. And, looking back, it's like sometimes God does something for you that you can't do for yourself. And in 2008, the FBI showed up at my office.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was interesting because it felt like they were stopping in for a coffee. It was, but basically they assured me, they said, no, worry not. You're not the target of the investigation. You're the subject. And all you have to do is testify against these guys, and then you can keep your life and no jumpsuit and no prison, maybe some probation. But the problem is that I couldn't trade their belief in me for my freedom. So I told them no. And with that decision, I was taken away to FDC Philadelphia. That's not a nice hotel, in case you were wondering. 1,000 evenings away from my children. I had to sit my little boy down, 5 years old, and tell him that I wouldn't see him for 3 Christmases. It was tough. But in time, I was released. But the challenge in that is that when when you're in a position like that, you cultivate a certain amount of shame. And when you walk out of prison, it walks out with you. I say that to say this, that I carried it a lot longer than I needed to. So I came out into the world, and every room I walked into, every conversation I had, it was like this weight on me. And I had no prospects of a professional career. I was banned from the securities industry for 3 years. And I just didn't know where to go. So I went back to the first place where I ever found any value. I went back to the gym. And I started to feel like if I was to find a way to serve others, that maybe that would help me have some relief in that. And so I opened up a little gym and I started training my friends. And they weren't really clients. They were just people who believed in me and wanted to give me a shot. It wasn't before long that someone recognized that I was eating these little meals. So since I was 25, I used to make these little meals. And it's funny how I look at it now. It's like I wanted to, I thought I was making them because I wanted to look better, feel better, perform better. But my 46-year-old self, looking back on my 26-year-old self, I probably just wanted to control something in my life. And it gave me something. So before long, somebody asked me to make their meals. And of course, I told them no, because I was still had that voice. I felt like I was above it and below it, like all at the same time. But the next time they asked me, I made their meals. And it was interesting. It was like, I'm incapable of doing anything a little bit. So it was 2 guys and it was 10 guys and it was 20 people I was making food for. And before long, my family would leave the house on Saturday and I would make 1,000 meals in my house. Sunday, I'd go to church and then I'd go to Home Depot and I'd get the boxes and I'd box them all up and I would bring them to the people. And it was like these, and it wasn't, the food was just okay. But what was the thing I was delivering was I was showing up for people in a place where they felt weak. And I was still wrestling with it. Like I would grill all this chicken on Saturday and I would be praying for a different opportunity to feed my family. And clearly there was a plan, but it wasn't until I just continued to show up for people that I started to evaporate that shame I was carrying. And I started to recognize that I wasn't like someone's cook. I was delivering a little bit of hope door to door. And in time, when the shame was gone, all that was left was the strength that I cultivated from carrying it around and the purpose I found in walking through it. And that is the catalyst of Project Lean Nation.
Wow, Tim, I had no idea that is the background and that is your story. That is your life. I mean, that what you shared about your journey prior to Project Lean Nation I could talk to you for hours about that. Honestly, that's a whole separate discussion. But first and foremost, I am so thankful you are where you are today and, for yourself, for your family. And wow, having gone from federal prison to now growing a franchise system nationwide. I mean, you founded this business in 2015. You started franchising in 2022. You have over 30 locations operating across the United States as we speak today, with another 15, 16, 17 soon to yet open. Congratulations. That's phenomenal. Something hit me when you were talking about shame and so forth. What's really interesting, I mean, that you were carrying shame, and then once that evaporated, then you could really embrace this journey that, as you shared, God led you on and had prepared for you. But it also made me think of the clients that you're serving, right? Your customer base. Many of those, if overweight, are carrying shame themselves. And so you are helping them this is an analogy, which I didn't mean to say, but eat away at that shame, right? By losing pounds, getting healthy, feeling better about themselves. So this is a very powerful franchise brand with a mission to help people eat healthier, live better lives, and to coach them on how to attain all of that healthy living. So, okay, so without further ado, what is Project Lean Nation?
Yeah, of course. So I shared the backstory because I think it's so important, because all those things became the ethos of who we are today, right? Because what we provide today is everything beyond the meal. So it's the support, the accountability, the education, and we utilize a tech-enabled member experience process that helps them measure progress in a meaningful way. But what we did then and what we do now is the same. It's a people first business, right? Because the same thing, and you're not wrong. Like our client base, it's like we're not a typical meal prep business, right? So we might have 10% of our people who would maybe consider themselves gym guys or athletes, and then 10% of people who probably facing something that might need additional intervention. But it's the 60% in the middle, general population, women who are 33 to 54 who want to lose 30 pounds. This is like our core people. And I think that initially I was able to connect with them so well because I obviously had faced something. I know what it's like to carry the weight and the consequences of my choices. And that's what allowed me to connect with people and to scale that into a business and to be able to develop a team and a strategy and a system to do that took some time. So I've been working on this for a decade, and it's been wildly exciting, especially as of late. Like we put together these 40 or so deals just getting to know people through my business. And now we've just been introduced to these networks of consultants that have embraced us. So it's been very, very exciting.
So what's really interesting, so this is a brick and mortar concept, correct? It's brick and mortar, but there's no hoods, there's no equipment per se. You provide coaching services, you're testing or measuring fat. So you have the food prepared meals aspect, the ready-made meals, right? How does the franchise owner, without any hoods or, food prep, how are they getting these meals? What's the distribution look like from start to finish?
Yeah, great question. It's like um, as I stepped into this world of folks who were asking all the big questions, they didn't have a lot of candidates that were like in line to be involved in the food business. But this is an opportunity to be in the business of health without being in the food business, because what we do is I have a 30,000 square foot manufacturing facility that we built from scratch. And what we do is today is we handle all of the manufacturing. So none of our franchise partners are going to have to deal with staff, with kitchen staff, with recipes, with food preparation of any sort on site. So what we do is we manufacture all of the product every single week in New York, and we have a distribution chain that takes us all the way through Texas and beyond today. And I think that what they appreciate about that is that they're not caught up in inputs and waste and all the things that are going to kind of be the operational sludge of the food business. And what they're providing ultimately is the member experience. So the support system is where our partners and their teams are executing. And what that drives is it keeps the focus on the member. And the level of support that they provide is a direct correlation to their retention. And the retention drives results for the members, but also that drives our economic engine when it comes to our business.
So you also have, so I understand the meals. You also have shakes, right? So those, I would assume, are made fresh at each location. Is that accurate?
So I can just from the business standpoint, then I'll talk about how we serve our community. About 75% of our revenue is derived from subscription-based meal plans. So it's like highly predictable. And then 25% of our revenue is from grab-and-go meals, supplements, and protein shakes, which these things are like high margin, keeps traffic coming. It's a low barrier of entry for someone to come into this space. In addition to that, it's like the dragon feeding its tail. It's like every time somebody comes in to pick up their subscription, of course, they're going to get some protein balls and a shake. And we love to fill nutritional gaps. So if we say, hey, here's everything you have to eat in a day, and it would benefit you if you were to have a shake, we have that available to them. And they have like a cult following. People love them.
So this is a recurring revenue subscription model. You have multiple revenue streams. How big is the footprint of the retail space that is needed?
Yeah, great question. And this is always, we are a very young brand, so we're always evolving. But our kind of sweet spot is 1,400 square feet. And we find that in a lot of inline plazas. So we leverage like value engineering and trying to find a space that fits anywhere so we can open up the opportunity to the most amount of people. Now, what we've found is recently we found a couple spaces that we've got down to like 1,100 square feet or 1,200 square feet, which will likely be something we explore as we enter into markets where real estate is a little bit more costly. So we try to be very efficient in a very small footprint.
And what does the employee model look like for this? It's a low employee count, but what does, you do the coaching aspect of it, which you're going to want somebody with some type of nutritional background and so forth. So talk me through when an individual, and let's talk about a semi-passive owner. I swear that the majority of my clients are wanting semi-passive ownership. So semi-passive owner, opening up day one, how many clients, what type of backgrounds are you looking for? And over time, how does that grow and scale?
Yeah, for sure. So there's lots of questions in there. So I'm going to try to one at a time. So if we're talking about a GM-led model, right? So from the start, day one, we're going to award a franchise. We're going to take our franchise partners through mission-ready training, and we're going to set them up for how to acquire, develop, and lead a manager. So right from the start, I think it's important because it's tough to find a great manager. A great manager won't work for someone unless they're a good leader. So we start there. We think that's important. Beyond that, when it comes to our pre-launch and pre-sale process, we train the manager to really focus on executing a community strategy that allows us to develop community partners, right? Because anywhere people who want to look better, feel better, we can partner with. That's really been our best way to enter into a market. Outside of that, our labor, we have a lean labor model, and the average store that opens up with 200 members may have 4 employees outside of a manager, and 3 of them will be part-time. We call them educators. And the unique thing about our business is it's like if I was selling cell phones, what somebody's personal beliefs, what their morals are, or what they're interested in may or may not matter. But the people who are attracted most to what we do, that health, serving others, and nutrition is always interesting to them, right? So like they come to us with some level of knowledge base. Then we have a staff dietitian that has created a learning platform that educates our educators on how to make recommendations and take one of our prospects through a consultation process that helps them make the best educated decision for them. And then what we do is as we spend time with them, they come back to us, we utilize data so we can help them make data-driven decisions about future health strategies. And then we're educating them along the way, emails, apps. We're heavily invested in technology, not to limit the human experience, but to amplify it. So to really focus on getting away from the operational kind of headaches of things. So in terms of it's going to be a very lean labor model. We also have a key lead, which would be like an assistant manager, like a floor manager. And then what's great about what we do is that if you are serving 150 or 200 or 250 members a week, that it doesn't really take a lot more labor. So that's a huge economy of scale for us. So when we look at it like if somebody's out in the world looking at us against the QSR or a traditional restaurant model, our labor number is a fraction of a typical labor number.
How often are your educators seeing or touching base outside of the technology, the driven email campaigns and so forth? How often are they touching base with the clients?
Yeah. So in our model, so we know that touches drive relationship, which drives retention, which drives results, which drives referrals. That's like our thing. And how that works for us is that clients are picking up their food weekly. 80% of our clients take advantage of pickup. So we do some home delivery. So that's like, we have to be a little bit more intentional about getting them to the space. So what we do is, and from a business aspect, we don't let them leave until they make their next appointment, right? So they're on a subscription, but we do these member check-ins every 2 weeks. So if you do a member check-in with us, we assess your strategy. We ask you what your challenges are. We may make some recommendations. We may ask you to challenge your thinking associated with your strategy. And then before you leave, we make an appointment for your next future visit. So I think that having a future touch point is a second layer of accountability other than you're going to get billed again. So we're always trying.
And how many meals for your average client, how many meals a week are they subscribing to?
So in our world, we have people that come to us, and when we take them through the consultation process, which is a sales process, make a presentation to them and we say, hey, are you looking for like a holistic strategy, or are you a person that maybe are you like Sarah? Sarah loves to have dinner with her family, so she really only needs a couple meals a day. So we kind of try to assess where they fit. And our average client we have 12 meals, 18 meals, or 24 meals weekly. Our average clients, about 70% of our people are getting 12 to 18 meals per week. And then they can do that weekly or bi-weekly. It's fully independent, runs off an app on their phone to make their meal selections and pause and all the things.
And are these meals, are they frozen when when they're shipped? And talk me through what that looks like.
Manufacturing. So now we're like manufacturing like 50,000 meals a week at this point, right?
Incredible.
Yeah. So we have a whole team of chefs that focus on innovation. And what we've invested in is we invested in something called reduced oxygen vacuum packaging. So what we do is we make the product, flash freeze it, and seal it. So it's like locks in freshness, nutrients at their peak. Then we put that on trucks, get it right to our franchise partners, and they're delivering that in real time to their clients. So we know, like, let's say you have 100 clients that are going to be fulfilled this week. They receive the food on Wednesday. It goes out on Saturday. If there's a delta, like if there's standing inventory, we take that into consideration when we're sending the next truck to them. So the cool part about our business is there is no real standing inventory demand.
Yeah. And so if I'm not on a subscription, but I want to test some of your product, am I able just to go in and pick up a few meals, randomly to try it before I subscribe?
Yeah, for sure. So that there's two sides of that coin for us. So we have a retail strategy. So I would say that 25% of our revenue is driven by retail, by people who are coming in and want to give it a try, or maybe they've extended our average retention rate and they still want to come in and grab a couple meals, connect with our team. So like in the way that we support them, if they're not on a membership, we don't discontinue our relationship with them, because when somebody comes in and they tell you they want to release 40 or 50 pounds, and we cultivate a relationship and we say, hey, a couple, 2-3 pounds a week is achievable, we ultimately end up really getting to know these people. Like we have relationships with our customers. So they oftentimes, even after they're off the plan, they come in and get some snacks or connect or grab a shake.
Very nice. All right, Tim, let's talk about well, number one, let me ask you, who is your ideal candidate? So you have 45 plus locations awarded around the United States today. What kind of investors are you looking to attract?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, and I'm young in this, and so my first wave of people were highly passionate, very limited business acumen, maybe didn't even have the money, but that didn't bother me one bit. Like they were just into what we were doing. Then, as things started to evolve, the person who was interested in what we're doing is starting to become more sophisticated. So I think that for us to be successful, we're going to have a diverse group of people. But I think whether somebody's going to be multi-unit, single location, I think the things that are going to be important is they have to be excited about serving others and helping somebody achieve something that maybe they couldn't do on their own. And that may not mean that they're going to be in there hands-on, but they're going to have to be the kind of person that could attract, develop, and lead a person who can execute that. And I think so. I'm looking for people who are fired up about health, who are disappointed in the crisis that our country is in when it comes to the health of our community and our children, somebody who wants to make an impact, and somebody who can lead others who are going to be leading others in health, and they're excited about that.
Okay, let me ask you this. I have over 600 brands in my portfolio. Who would you say is your competition or your closest competition in this area? Or do you have somebody that is a competitor in this area?
Well, I want to preface this by saying that I'm a fan of any company that's out there trying to help people get healthy. I just do things a little bit differently. So I think a brand that is out there today is Clean Eats, right? I think that they're doing a good job. I don't think we're going to have the same candidate because they have a kitchen in every unit. There's, operationally, it's a bigger lift. Our item 7 is half as much, and our item 19 is stronger. So I don't know if the candidate who is maybe someone who has a real passionate for being in the kitchen, that might be the best thing for them. When it comes to what we do that differentiates us from Clean Eats is everything we do beyond the meal. So it's the support, it's the education, it's the experience. And we can only do that because we're not in the kitchen, So I understand how it might be harder for them, but I'm a fan of those guys too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very attractive to me because it's more of a holistic approach, right? You're providing the nutrients that the individual needs, but you're coaching them, you're getting to know them, you're understanding what their goals are, so then you can guide them to the best food options possible in your menu. So since you mentioned the word item 19, let's dive into that. And, what can you share with me? Your total investment is around $237,000 to $354,000, which truly is on the lower end for a retail brick and mortar, especially that is in the food space, right? So what does the potential ROI look like for an investor?
I'm new to this, so I have to be careful how I speak to it.
You do have to be careful.
Yeah. So I can tell you this. Our A students are averaging 1.3 million. Even our guy in the middle of the road, our C student, is doing nearly 700. And I have an HQ unit that last year did 1.8 million at 24% EBITDA.
Wow. That is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, this is really a low overhead business. I mean, it's a retail spot, so you have that, but you have little waste given the manufacturing aspect, and the food is delivered to the franchise owners. the coaching, you have the supplements and the shakes, but that is higher margin and very little lift. So yeah, from the moment I, heard about Project Lean Nation, started learning a little bit more, it is very intriguing. And as you mentioned, this is helping solve or at least nick away at a very big problem that we have here in the United States.
Yeah, I just read the data the other day. It said 73% of Americans are what would be considered obese, and the most heart-wrenching statistic is 20% of our children. And you see it in the grocery store. You see someone who's struggling with their health, and right behind it is a child set up for the same fate. And it's if we can make it just a small impact on that, we would consider this wildly rewarding.
Well, you certainly are. I mean, your footprint across the United States, is proving that you are making a difference. And I'm excited to watch the brand grow, Tim. I love, what I learned about you today was more than I anticipated. I didn't expect the from federal prison to franchisor success story, but yeah, so much congratulations to you. I'm excited to hopefully bring some clients your way. There's one gentleman I'm working with that was very intrigued by the food space, but not so intrigued by having to manage many employees, right? That usually is a requirement in the food space, and also interested in the health and wellness sector. And to me, this is like, the perfect blend of all of that. So, well, thank you so much for being with us today, Tim, and sharing the Project Lean Nation story. For anybody that is interested in learning more about Project Lean Nation, please feel free to reach out to me at Stacie@FusionFranchising.com. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more on the franchise life.